Stellyn Summers, who was with them at the meeting, sneered at that fact because how can an unemployed woman live at Hillston Borough? She definitely has a sugar daddy, and that sugar daddy is Mary's husband. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Art and Recap. I'm your artist Faye, and today we are reading chapter 241 till 245 of Lord of the Mysteries. Chapter 241, Language of Foulness. Okay, so when I read that title, Loki, it reminded me of my mom before she became a born again Christian. She'd cuss like crazy in Tagalog whenever she got mad, and she got mad a lot, guys. And now, whenever I slip a well deserved fuck to show how I feel, she'd look at me disapprovingly and say that the good Lord Jesus Christ won't be happy if I speak like that. Like, damn, I didn't think Jesus would give a single fuck to whatever the fuck I'm saying, cause I'm just a girl making fucking YouTube videos. But sure, okay, I won't cuss in front of you so Jesus won't hear or something. Anyways, we got a little sidetracked there. Klein was in this small gathering of Beyonders where he exchanged morsels Beyonder characteristics for 400 pounds, and this shady ass dude offered him a mysterious box that whispers secrets in his ears that may or may not help him survive the ambassador's future attack. As Klein was debating if he should accept or not, the apothecary dude, the guy who planted herbs in the sewers, muttered under his breath that Klein should leave an address so he can collect his body so that he can get something out of it too. And Klein was like, bruh, is this guy cursing me or something? Or is he trying to persuade me not to take the deal? Then Klein turns over to the guy who offered the item, the guy is called Black Snake by the way, and was like, well, I gotta gamble if I want to survive. At least this way I have a bit of hope. But really, it's not gonna be a gamble to Klein because he plans on using the item in the Grey Fog world. Side note, but this apothecary guy is really being pointed out a lot in this chapter. Like, he's super chatty. I do wonder if he's a relevant character in the future or if he's actually the apothecary guy that was from Tingen. You guys remember him? I don't think Klein actually ever saw who that Beyonder was since he was mostly watching from the shop, right? Plus, they're all wearing masks and hood during this gathering anyway. So, yeah, much to think about. So then Klein exchanged the goods and got the box. The moment he touched it, he started hearing weird shit. But he shrugged it off because he's low-key used to it by now. And he asked how to use it, and Black Snake told him that just touching it should be enough, and Klein gave him a wry smile and said that he did feel a little dizzy when he touched it because he needs to act as if he's some innocent lamb and doesn't know anything about Beyonders, okay? The gathering continues on until it's time for them to leave. They have this system where they leave one by one in 3-minute intervals. Klein thinks that they're doing this to prevent the members from getting tailed and robbed, which makes a lot of sense to be honest. But at the same time, what if someone just lie in wait for a person before they start tailing them? Or is it that there's several entrances and exits that the attendants lead people to? Anyways, Klein is back at the Bravehearts bar and he heads to Casper's, who was standing outside the card room. Casper's was relieved to find Klein still alive and whole and tried to persuade Klein to not continue joining the future gatherings when Klein asked if there's gonna be another one in the future. Then Klein asked if Marek was around and Casper's was like, you still want him as your bodyguard? I don't think you can persuade him to be honest. And Klein tells him that he understands before he left to go home. Because, Klein was really just asking so he can stay far away from Marek because he didn't know what Mr. Asik's whistle would do to his zombies. Like, he's thinking, are they gonna start a mutiny or something like that? Inside the card room with Marek, however, he actually thought that something weird was happening to his zombie friends because Klein was nearby at some point, right? Because it seems like the zombies have taken the initiative to beat him in several card games, and I guess that doesn't really happen all that often because, again, they are zombies and he controls them. The zombies also were staring at Marek menacingly, and Marek got the chills to the point that he left the card game and went to get himself a drink. And the zombies, they lost control. Well, not lost control as in they started attacking people, but Marek just stopped controlling them and they just flopped, I guess. On a side note, I do wonder where did Marek get all these corpses from? I feel like, is he some sort of serial killer? Somehow I feel like that's possible because Klein pointed out that his eyes are filled with malice. Like if he's just some sort of random grave robber, I don't think he'd be pointed out with such eyes. Meanwhile, Klein finished getting ready for bed. Before he went to sleep, he checked if there was anyone nearby before summoning himself in the Grey Fog world. He took the box with him and found out that yes, the Grey Fog really helped against the whispers. He opened it and there was a black rotting ear inside that box. Klein didn't hear a single whisper when he touched the ear, and he's like, well, that won't do. Because the thing that he had to do was actually listen to the whispers, right? Because it's telling secrets. So he decided to do the same divination that he did when he spied on the eternal blazing sun. He thinks that it's probably not as dangerous since the item he's using was left behind by a beyonder and not the blood of a god himself. Right. Klein divined the origin of the item, and he saw a man struggling on the ground until his body swelled like a balloon, and Klein heard an evil and foul voice that woke him up instantly from the divination. He got attacked by the whispers, and he struggled to isolate the sound again. Once that happened, one tentacle after another fell to the ground as his wounds started to heal from that attack. Klein was like, well, at least I didn't face off against the true creator directly this time, otherwise I'd have gone crazy. When he picked up the black ear again, the thing crumbled to dust and turned into a pure Beyonder characteristic. The tentacles on the ground was about to disappear, but before that happened, Klein threw the dust on the tentacle and somehow that turned into an iron black charm. This charm can be used to infect people with madness, but if they're strong, they might actually benefit from the charm in exchange of becoming a believer of the true creator. Klein called this charm Language of Foulness, hence the title. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie to you guys, the fight scene in this chapter was hella confusing. Like, whenever it's action-packed, the writing is easy to follow, but once it's actually related to mysticism and powers get involved, the descriptions get a little bit confusing. Chapter 242, Bakerland. The next day, Klein was having a pleasant breakfast and reading the newspaper when he found out that a gunfight happened that involved the Smenger gang. Klein thinks that it might actually involve Iron Wright and the military special department too, and the news are covering it up by saying that it's a fight between two gangs, with one of them being the Smengers. His doorbell rang and Klein asked who it is, and you know what? My first thought was that it might be Ian, but I was wrong cause the persons standing outside were two ladies, with one of them being Mrs. Summer. She said that the lady with her is a friend who could be a potential client. Klein invites them inside and offers coffee or tea, but the lady said that there was no need. The woman in question was Mary Gale, and she wants Klein to tell her husband because she thinks he's cheating on her. She wants him to confirm that he has a mistress and that he should obtain evidence of them so that she can use it for her divorce. Klein tells her that it's not that easy to obtain, but the lady said that she'd lend him a portable camera, and Klein was thinking to himself, portable camera, the one that's about the size of my head, and I was thinking to myself that it might have some crazy flash too, since it's an old Victorian camera, and how is Klein supposed to be discreet with that thing, right? Either way, Klein agrees to take on this task cause the pay was too good. If he got evidence, she'd give him £10, but if he can only confirm that her husband has a mistress, then she'll pay only £3. We have a scene where Audrey was at the ball and accidentally, with quotation marks, bumped into the Ambassador Bakerland. The man flirts with her and Audrey just smiles through it all before she excuses herself after she looks over his shoulder and said that her friend was calling for her. Which was not true, by the way. She just got all the info she needed from him and she wanted to get the hell out of that creep's vicinity and his god-awful sexual jokes. However, another man approaches her, but this time it's actually someone she knows and isn't an absolute creep. He's someone who entered M19, which was a military unit if I remember correctly. He warns her that Bakerland is a sleazy guy who tricked many women into bed. Audrey tells him not to worry about her since she thought Bakerland was gross and gave her the ick. The guy asked Audrey if she knew about Beyonders, and Audrey says that she does cause Klein told her about them. The guy then proceeds to tell her that Bakerland has powerful Beyonders amongst his midst and that he's most likely a Six Conspirer. Sequence 6 Conspirer. Damn, that sounds like it's gonna be a tongue twister. Sequence 6 Conspirer. That was part of the Hunter pathway, by the way. She also found out through this guy that Bakerland has an assistant in the shadows who might be Sequence 5. And you know what? She found out so much more about Bakerland through this guy, and she didn't even need to prod him about the information. The guy just wanted to gossip. And seriously, next time she needs to kill another ambassador, she should just invite this guy for tea. After finding out all of this information she could get, she found Viscount Klein and asked him to contact Sio and Force. Seriously, Viscount Klein is like her BFF. It's so cute to see. Chapter 243, Catching the Adulterous Act. The next day, Klein was outside a department store. He was chilling on a bench while munching on a pie and drinking iced tea. By the way, Cuttlefish really liked describing that pie. I think he might have eaten something similar before, because that was a lot of description compared to his usual writing. Anyway, Klein's been sitting in that area since 8 in the morning because it's the perfect place to observe the Coim Company's entrance. It's the company where Mary's husband works at, by the way. An hour later, the target walks out of the company and Klein followed him secretly before bumping into the guy and apologizing with the excuse that he was lost. The guy didn't mind and continued about his day, not knowing that Klein slipped a button in his coat and used that button to follow him through divination. That led to Klein finding the guy entering a house guarded by two men. Klein approached them but was stopped when they asked Klein for his membership, since this is the Quelag Club and only members and their +1 can enter. Klein asked them how to join and was told that he needed 2 recommendations from their members and of course, money. Klein gave a nod and left to find a hotel near the club instead. He then went into the Grey Fog world and divined the whereabouts of his spare button. Through dream divination, he saw exactly where the button was, and he had to watch as the guy had a romp with a young woman in her early 20s. Klein was wondering what went wrong in his life and why he kept seeing scenes like this. But hey, at least he knows now for sure that the guy has a mistress. Now all he needs is evidence. He decides to tail that girl later to find out her name and address because he doesn't think that those two only meet at Quelag. Since he was in the Grey Fog world anyway, he decided to divine if the threadworm that snuck into his room a couple nights ago was under the control of a Beyonder in the Seer pathway. He received a positive answer. Klein wanted to divine who the controller was but failed even though he's in the Grey Fog area. So far, it's probably because they're both Seers, at least that's what Klein thinks. Klein also thinks that he needs to beat that guy so he can get his hands on the potion formulas that he has. Meanwhile, in Glenn's study, Audrey tells Shio and Force that she would like their help to assassinate Bakerland. Chapter 244, Appointee. Force was taken aback because she did not expect Audrey to give them that kind of mission. Shio reluctantly told Audrey that they're not powerful enough to fight against someone like Bakerland. Audrey was like, OMG, I'm not asking you two to kill Bakerland yourselves. I need you guys to find a Beyonder who can, like Mr. A. I can pay 4,000 if he succeeds and you two will get 500 each, but if it fails, then I'll pay you both 200 instead. Audrey can only pay 5,000 pounds, by the way, because she doesn't want to raise any suspicions from her father or the bank, otherwise she'd probably give more money. Force was tempted by the offer but wonders why Audrey would even want the man dead in the first place. Is it internal strife amongst the nobles, or did she want to start a war? Is her father involved in this and she's acting in his stead? The duo accepted the mission anyway, and in the same afternoon they managed to contact Mr. A, and oh my god, I appreciate how fast Force and Sio works. Mr. A asked what they want while checking them out. Force got the biggest ick, and we find out that there might be female Beyonders out there who exchange their bodies for potion ingredients with Mr. A. Sio tells Mr. A the mission to assassinate Bakerland, and Mr. A asks what the reward was. When Mr. A found out that it's 4,000 pounds, he said that he can accept the mission but only if they raise the price to 10,000 pounds, or he gets the potion formulas for the Unshadowed, Cataclysmic Terror, Prophet, or Manipulator. It didn't even need to be a complete formula either. The reason he raised the price to 10k is because Chilanko's bounty was that much. While Bakerland isn't as powerful as the Admiral, he does have a lot of powerful aids and mystical items, so the stakes should be about the same. The duo looked at each other and told him to wait for an answer at the same time tomorrow. Force thinks it's weird for Mr. A to be interested in money since he's already such a powerful beyonder. Seo tells Force that Mr. A has a lot of subordinates that needed to be paid, and Force is like, damn Seo, you're not that stupid after all. And then they kiss. No, I'm joking. Also, that is really what Force said. Except that damn Seo. I added that. Anyway, the two of them gave Susie a letter regarding Mr. A's answer, and Otter was glad that his demands weren't that unreasonable. She's thinking of borrowing £8,000 from Glaint and paying him back over 4 to 5 months with an interest of £1,000. And you know what? Glaint and Audrey, BFF. That is her gay best friend indeed. Because remember at the very beginning when I was like reading Lord of the Mysteries for the first time back, I don't know how many months ago. The first time I read about Glaint and Audrey, I was thinking that they're like the gay best friend duo kind of thing. I don't know, they just give that vibe. Glaint just gives that vibe, okay? I really hope that nothing bad happens to Glaint. Audrey, I feel like she's in the safe zone because she's like one of Klein's most trusted Tarot Club member, because again she and Algar, they're like the first ones, right? So I feel like she's in the safe zone. But Glaint, I feel like Audrey needs some trauma and I don't want Glaint to be used for that trauma. Yeah. Anyway, now we get back to Klein's POV and his meeting with his client Mary once more. He tells her what he found out about her husband, how he tailed him to a club called Quella Club. By the way, how do you even pronounce that? But didn't manage to get inside because he's not a member. Half an hour after her husband left, only one woman came out. Her name is Erica Taylor, and he gave her the address of where Erica lives. Also, side note, if Klein was a normal, absolutely normal detective and he didn't use divination to tell that, the husband was cheating with a woman. What if the husband was gay and he was cheating with a man and he's just, tailing this random ass woman who may or may not be the mistress of another guy, right? Like, food for thought. Maybe the husband was gay, but we know it's not. But just in an alternate reality where Klein is just a normal detective with no mystical powers. Just imagine. He also told Mary that Erica used to work for Coim, the same company her husband works at, and that she's currently unemployed. Stellyn Summers, who was with them at the meeting, sneered at that fact because how can an unemployed woman live at Hillston Borough? She definitely has a sugar daddy, and that sugar daddy is Mary's husband. Mary tells Klein that she can get him inside the club so that he can get evidence of her husband's cheating. Klein agrees but asks who will pay the club fee because he's a detective. He's a broke detective, okay? Mary says that she'll pay the initial club fee. He can view it as a reward for his efficiency, but if he wants to continue in the club, he has to pay £15 annually himself. Klein was thinking how generous she was and promised to provide her with evidence as soon as possible. And you know what? All the rich ladies we've met so far have been very generous, except Magos, but then again, she was going through a very traumatic event. After dinner, Klein went to the Bravehearts bar to act like a helpless guy who was scared that Bakerland will kill him any day now. He was doing this for the military personnel that's still tailing him, by the way. Kaspers approached Klein the moment he entered the bar and said that Marek was looking for him. When he entered the room, he found that it was just Marek waiting there. There were no zombies in sight, and that had Klein wondering, did Mr. Asek's copper whistle do something to the corpses after all? Marek asked him if his bodyguard job is still available because he has a friend who needs money. She's stronger than he is and can protect Klein for 3 days, but he gotta pay her 1k for it. Klein was thinking, are you freaking serious? Right when I got the language of foulness, someone's interested in the job? Klein tells Marek to give him time to consider because he can't just manifest 1K out of his ass. He also tells Marek that the Beyonder needs to be hidden and this deal needs to stay confidential. Also, he gets to choose which 3 days he'd get the protection on, which, makes sense. Chapter 245 Confirmation. On his way home, he heard the murmurs of a prayer. So after confirming that no one was watching, he summoned himself to the Grey Fog world to listen to what Audrey has to say. She reports her findings about Bakerland and that someone has agreed to take on the mission. Audrey was doubting if paying Mr. A 10K was the right choice or if she should have found a way to acquire one of the formulas he was asking for instead. Klein was thinking that Mr. A was definitely one of the 22 oracles of the Aurora Order and that he's probably a Sequence 5 shepherd and also probably really really fucking crazy. Because of the shenanigan he pulled with the Eternal Blazing Sun god, Klein has a portion of the Unshadowed formula and the corresponding ritual needed for the advancement. While this can save Audrey the 10K, he also didn't want Mr. A to progress. After all, he might be a future enemy and again, he's possibly from the Aurora Order. Klein inferred that the potion formula Mr. A wanted might be swappable with the secret suppliant pathway. He was also thinking about which churches the potions belong to so he can get a better idea on which ones were swappable. Anyway, he didn't reply to Audrey immediately but divines who Marek's friend was instead. He divined if it's risky to hire Marek's friend and got an answer that it's slightly risky, Then he divined if Bakerland will have his life threatened by Mr. A, and the answer is yes. There's a chance of success and that Audrey was not gonna get scammed out of her money because again, Mr. A was going to try and fulfill his end of the bargain. He then replies to Audrey and warns her to be vigilant around Mr. A and that he must absolutely not find out about her identity. Then he tells her that his blessed needs 1,000 pounds and that it's payment for the light supply and formula and that she doesn't need to find out about the secret order anymore. But if she still got any info about them, he'd be willing to trade. Audrey, who was holding a music score and humming to herself, stopped when she heard the voice of the fool. She was relieved that she's almost paid off her debt to Klein, and that she can breathe easier now. Even though she's going to be in a tight financial situation, she thinks that she can just ask Klein for more money where she'll drag it out with more installments, not in more installments. Anyway, the next day at around noon, Klein heard Audrey's prayer where she told him that the money was deposited. It will take a day for the bank to process that, so Klein won't be able to withdraw until the next day. Klein later on saw Mary again, who led him outside Quella Club where two members were waiting. One was a surgeon and another was an equestrian teacher named Talim. Talim told him that if it weren't for Mary, he wouldn't have known that there was another outstanding detective in Backlund. When I read that, I instantly thought that Klein definitely needs some business cards to give out, especially if he's gonna be mingling amongst these rich people in the club. Anyway, they all entered the club to register Klein, and oh yeah, we also find out that Talim was like a noble, but he's like a fallen nobility. His father or whatever, like they're broke now. So yeah, that's why he's working as an equestrian. I don't know why that's been pointed out by the text, but I thought I'll tell you guys anyway. Might be important in the future. Anyway, that is it for this recap. It's so freaking hot, guys. Oh my god, it's like 30 something degrees, and it's not even 9 o'clock when I started recording this. I was sweating. It felt like I was getting baked, and not in the good fun kind. It felt like I was getting baked in the I'm in an oven type of sense, okay? Summer is going to be absolute hell. It's just May. May! It's still spring. It's not even June yet. Why is it so hot? That aside, the video that you guys are watching right now, the art video, is actually one of the social media posts that I did a while ago. I still have no illustrations to show you guys. I have been very busy finishing up some stuff for the webcomic. I'm also doing more small comic for for social media promotion because it's actually working. It works really well, this type of promotion for the webcomic. So I'm doing more of that right now instead of just illustrations. Usually I do the illustrations for the webcomic itself as like chapter illustrations. By the way, I have a couple episodes up right now. A couple as in two episodes. Well, two is a couple, right? So yeah. If you guys are interested, my webcomic is called Dreaming of Aurora. It's available on Tapas and on Webtoon. Before I go, please like, subscribe, and leave a comment. It helps my channel out a lot. My commissions are open and my Vision link is down in the description below. Check out my story Dreaming of Aurora if you have the time. And finally, thanks to my patrons, Robek, Vanarik, and Jayval Jevalitska for the support. I'll see you guys next time. Bye!